All right, so let me tell you about some places that you, me, nobody, we're just not allowed to see. And I'm not talking about, oh, you need a ticket or you gotta pay extra or whatever. I mean places where they will literally tell you no, just straight up no, you can't come in. Ever. And the thing that really gets me about this is, okay, so we live in this age where you can Google Earth literally anywhere on the planet, right? You can see inside the Oval Office. You can watch live streams from the International Space Station. You could take a virtual tour of the freaking pyramids. But these places, nope, off limits. And some of them have been off limits for centuries, which is just, I mean, come on. Let's start with the Vatican's secret archives. And okay, I know they rebranded it recently to the Apostolic Archives or whatever because secret sounded too spicy, but that doesn't change what it actually is. This place has been collecting documents for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years of letters, papal bulls, state papers, all of it locked away in 53 miles of shelving. 53 miles. That's not a typo. And here's the thing. They say it's not secret, it's just private, which is the most PR answer ever. You know what I mean? It's when someone says, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Okay, sure, technically you're right, but we all know what you really mean. Now, they do let scholars in sometimes, very occasionally. If you're qualified enough, if you know exactly what document you're looking for, if you fill out the right forms, if they feel it. But you can't just browse. You can't go in there and be, hey, what's this over here? And you definitely can't see everything. There are entire sections that are just, no, completely sealed. Some documents won't be available until 2049 or something. And why? What's in there that's so sensitive? Letters from Galileo? Sure, we know about those. Stuff about the trial of the Knights Templar? Okay. But what about the rest of it? The stuff they're not even telling us exists? I'm not trying to go full conspiracy theory here, but you can't just lock up 1,000 years of documentation and expect people not to wonder what you're hiding. Actually, let me show you what I mean with the next one, because this one's even more locked down. So there's this church in Ethiopia, St. Mary of Zion. Nothing too crazy about that, right? Churches exist, people visit churches all the time. Except this particular church claims to house the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, that Ark, the one from the Bible, the one Indiana Jones was looking for. That's what they say is in there. And there's this one priest, just one guy, whose entire job, his entire life, is to guard it. He's chosen when he's young, and once he takes on this role, he never leaves the chapel grounds. Never. Not for family emergencies, not for medical care, nothing. He guards this thing until he dies, and then another priest is chosen to take his place. This has been going on for generations. You cannot see the Ark. The priest can't show it to you. Apparently, he's the only person allowed to lay eyes on it. Not the Ethiopian government, not religious scholars, not archaeologists, nobody. And when journalists or researchers ask to even get close, it's just no, absolutely not. The current guardian, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's been doing this for decades now, just sitting there, guarding something that may or may not actually be in there. And that's what kills me about this, right? We don't even know if it's real. It could be the actual Ark of the Covenant, one of the most significant religious artifacts in human history. Or it could be, I don't know, a really old box. But we'll never know because they will not let anyone verify it. And I get the religious significance, I do, but come on, at some point you gotta ask what's the point of having the most important object in Judeo-Christian history if you're just gonna hide it forever. But okay, at least that one's about religion, right? You can kind of understand the logic there even if you don't agree with it. But this next one, this is just straight up, we're afraid it'll kill everyone. The mausoleum of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. This is the guy who unified China, built the early versions of the Great Wall, and, oh yeah, commissioned an entire army of terracotta warriors to be buried with him. You've seen pictures of those warriors, right? They're incredible, thousands of them. each one unique, all standing guard over this massive tomb complex. Except here's the thing, those warriors, they're just the outer layer. They're in pits surrounding the actual tomb, which nobody has opened. The Chinese government has forbidden excavation of the central mausoleum, and honestly, they might be right to do that. Ancient sources, and I say that a little bit loosely because we're talking about records from 2,000 years ago, but these sources describe the tomb as this insane death trap, rivers of mercury flowing through it to represent the rivers of China, crossbows rigged to fire automatically at intruders, pearls embedded in the ceiling to look like stars. The whole thing is supposedly this massive underground palace, and it's all designed to kill anyone who tries to get in. And mercury? That's not a metaphor. They've done soil tests around the mausoleum, and there are crazy high levels of mercury in the ground. So that part might actually be true, which means opening it could release toxic mercury vapor that's been sealed in there for over 2 millennia. Not great. But also, and this is the part that really gets me, they might have booby traps that still work. Think about that for a second. Mechanical traps built over 2,000 years ago that could still function? Is that possible? I don't know. Maybe? Probably not. But do you really want to be the archaeologist who finds out the hard way? So it just sits there, this massive mound in the middle of China that everyone knows contains one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever, and we can't touch it. We've got ground-penetrating radar and all this technology that could tell us what's down there without even digging. But nope, the government says no, and honestly, given what might be in there, I can't even blame them. Okay, so those are the famous ones that everyone kind of knows about. But let me tell you about a couple more that are just as locked down, but don't get talked about as much. There's this place in Russia called Mezhgoria. It's a closed town. As in, it doesn't officially exist on most maps, and you need special government permission just to get within miles of it. What's there? Well, according to some reports, it's a massive underground facility built into Mount Yamantau during the Cold War. We're talking about excavation on an absolutely insane scale. Some estimates say they moved more dirt than the Channel Tunnel project. The Russians have given different explanations over the years. It's a mining site. It's a repository for Russian treasures. It's a bunker for leaders in case of nuclear war. The thing is, nobody actually knows, and Russia is not clarifying. American satellites have picked up massive construction activity there for decades, but the Russian government just kind of shrugs and changes the subject. And you can't get close to this place. It's guarded, it's restricted, and the people who live in the nearby town, the workers and their families, they can't leave without permission, and they definitely can't talk about what goes on there. I mean, this is Cold War paranoia meets modern secrecy, and it's been going on for over 40 years at this point. What's down there? A bunker? A weapons facility? Food storage? Communication center? Who the hell knows? But the fact that they're still actively keeping it secret, even after the Cold War ended, tells you it's something they really don't want anyone to see. And then there's one more. Area 51 gets all the attention, right? Everyone knows about Area 51. But there's another facility that might actually be more secretive, and it's called Pine Gap. It's in Australia, smack in the middle of the outback, and it's technically a joint US-Australian defense facility. What actually happens there? Well, officially, it's a satellite tracking station. Unofficially, it's one of the most important intelligence facilities in the world. The place is surrounded by restricted airspace. You can't get within kilometers of it without getting arrested. And the people who work there, even Australian government officials, don't know exactly what they're doing. There are these big radomes out there, these white domes covering satellite dishes, and they're supposedly monitoring communications from all over the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. But the level of secrecy around this place is intense. Even Australian prime ministers have reportedly been denied full briefings about what goes on at Pine Gap. That's their own country, and they can't get answers.
And the thing that really makes this one creepy is how normal it looks from the outside. It's not some imposing fortress or ancient tomb. It's just there, in the desert, with a bunch of domes and buildings. But try to visit it, try to get close, try to ask too many questions, and you'll find out real quick just how off limits it actually is. Maybe some secrets are better left alone. Or maybe that's exactly what they want us to think. But either way, you're not getting in, I'm not getting in, and honestly, that just makes you want to know what's in there even more, doesn't it?